Hello and welcome to the first podcast of 2013. Now, there are some uncanny facts about growing up. First of all, Santa isn't real. Sorry. Second, growing up isn't fun. Sorry again. And finally, the once lovable Disney company you spent years consuming as a kid are actually a bunch of money-grabbing pricks, hell-bent on taking anything of value and putting a pair of mouse ears on it. It's got to the point where you can't walk outside without being hit by something owned by Disney, funded by Disney, or even run by Disney. They are the biggest media conglomerate in the world, in regards to revenue, that is. They have their fingers in pretty much every pie out there, and since Disney recently purchased the rights to the Star Wars films, and thus have ownership of pretty much everything I love, except my girlfriend, but even I think that might be a matter of time before they change her name to Minnie. So I must ask myself this question: is Disney trying to take over the world? The company's roots stretch back to the early 20s, when it was known as Disney Brothers Studios. It was run by both Walt and his brother Roy Disney. The company signed a contract with MJ Wilker to produce a series of Alice comedies in 1923, and this is where the company really started. The years to come, they made their fame and fortune with the first Mickey Mouse cartoon, titled Steamboat Willie. This was in 1928. It was so popular that the Little Mouse was made their mascot and became the face we all know and love. Or hate, in my case. That same year, Walt bought most of the shares of his brother for ownership of the company, and changed the name of the company to Walt Disney Studios. Tiny bit egotistical if you ask me, but anyway, the rest was history. They made classic films such as Snow White and The Lion King, just to name a few. Opened a range of Walt Disney themed parks around the world, including Florida and Paris. Owned several channels, including all Disney related channels, ESPN and ABC. In recent years, they have also bought Marvel Entertainment, Pixar Studios, and LucasArts. The company has now been running for 90 years. Now, I understand the need to make money, and the point of owning a company is to do just that. But when everyone is eating and sleeping in brands owned by Disney, you just become oversaturated and it becomes a bit too much. When a company makes over $30 billion a year in revenue and has one of the biggest media presence out there, making a large chunk of film and TV, but also having connections to online media, multiple theme parks, and even game, it makes it very difficult for a developing company to work and grow, because Disney and similar companies are just choking out the competition. It doesn't matter if the company has a unique idea, or even a fan base to start off with. If a company is doing well enough, they'll be more likely to be grabbed up by Disney or any other sort of big conglomerate. Take Marvel Entertainment or Pixar for example. Companies with their own fan base and making their own way in the industry have been bought out by the company. I personally think it's dangerous for a company as big as Disney to have so much power when it comes to film and TV. They influence pretty much any kid that has access to media platforms of any sort, film, digital, or even print. And I don't want to live in a world where everything we buy or consume media-wise is owned by 2 or 3 big companies owning lots of little ones. Often when Disney buys a company, the fans get worried about what will Disney do to them. Rightly so, if you ask me. The most recent panic is when Disney paid out $4 billion for LucasArts, aka the Star Wars franchise. So then $4 billion must seem like loose change lying around, but that's besides the point. Fans have been showing their disapproval all over the net via Facebook, YouTube, any other social media sites out there. And they're worried that Disney will ruin the Star Wars franchise. I believe this stems from the biggest flop to date. John Carter ended creating a £120 million loss for the company, making it the biggest flop ever in the film industry. And it was hyped up to be one of the biggest films of the year, with $100 million spent on advertising alone. The monsters and aliens also oddly look like those shown in Star Wars films, and the set and the scenery just emulates a Star Wars sort of feel. So fans relate to that and see what they did with that sci-fi film. So fans have shown their unrest and support their unrest has been supported by this flop of a film. Also, there's fears amongst fans that Star Wars will be Disneyfied, either with merchandise or other media like games or animations. Can you imagine a Lego Star Wars with Disney? It's just not right. Anyway, that was the first podcast of 2013. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. See you again.